Hi, my name is Claire, and I'm a 22-year-old yoga teacher from Orlando, Florida, and this is my vaccine injury story. I got this vaccine because I was led to believe that it was safe and effective, but that isn't the case for everybody. After I got it, I woke up in the middle of the night with my right arm and my entire face on fire, a burning pain I had never felt before. I was terrified, but I covered my face and arm in ice packs and somehow managed to go back to sleep in hopes that it would be gone by the time I wake up in the morning. But I was wrong. By the time the sun rose, the lacerating pain had spread to my entire body. Yes, the whole thing, from my scalp to my toes. And for 18 months, I've been set on fire. As months went by, new symptoms appeared. I began to feel dizzy and lightheaded, fainting and pre-syncope episodes, flu-like symptoms, fatigue, body aches, nausea, vomiting. And I found thousands of other people experiencing the same things. I saw dozens of doctors and was eventually diagnosed with small fiber neuropathy, autonomic neuropathy, POTS, and CIDP as a result of the COVID vaccine. I got stabbing pain in my elbows and shoulders. My arms became weak, and there were weeks where I could barely make a fist or lift anything over 5 pounds. And every time you get a new symptom, the grieving process starts over again. With injuries and other chronic illness, loss is continued and sustained. Months later, I wake up with bilateral tendon injuries, and my heart breaks deeper, and a feeling of doom paralyzes me. I'd like to talk more about how this has really impacted my life. I was a super healthy and active yoga teacher before, and the grieving of my old life is a process that I'm still working through. A complete breaking of the ego. I lost my day job and a lot of money. I lost my relationship with my sister. Maintaining and building relationships are hard when you're disabled. The world is not accessible for us, but one of the hardest parts about what happened is that people don't believe me. They assume that I'm lying or anti-vax, neither of which are true. Again, I was falsely led to believe it's safe and effective for everyone, and I thought I was doing the right thing for myself and for others. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. We'll move to the next speaker.
Frank Blasco. I'm here today as the parent of a vaccine-injured child. My adult son is 25 years old. He was a bodybuilder and a professional living in New York. He makes me look like I never stepped foot in a gym in my life. Now he is disabled. He cannot drive himself. After I finish this meeting with you all today, I have to take him to his cardiology appointment. He's been hospitalized 4 times. He has myocarditis and POTS. He can no longer work. He can no longer support himself, and I have to carry him on my insurance, not to mention care for him, cook for him, and he cannot do anything on his own. He was required to take this through a mandate. Mandates are unconstitutional, and it's not necessary. People are sick and ill and dying because of this. My sister's a professor of medicine. She's been in ER medicine for 30 years. She too was forced to take this vaccine and is sick because of it. The ER that she works for is a private entity. All she does is see people coming in who are injured. No one will talk about this because they're silenced by the big industries, pharma, medical, insurance. They all lose their jobs. If you mandate this, you are going to be doing great harm to so many people. It's unjust. Lastly, I'd like to compliment you on your choice of art, particularly the piece above Mr. Brooks, the one that says karma. Have a good day.
Good morning, commissioners and everyone. My name is Patty Duggan. I'm here on behalf of my brother, Daniel Martin Brown, who died October 30th, 2021 in North Shore University Hospital in New York. His doctors declared he died as a result of taking the vaccine. They said he died from HLH, a rare blood disease which he acquired as a result of taking the COVID. Danny leaves behind a wife and 3 children. There are thousands of people who have been adversely affected by COVID, and it is our hope that the vaccine injuries are acknowledged and that the vaccine can be added to the NVICP, the National Injury Compensation Program, with all the other vaccines. This is my brother and his wife, Liz. He's dearly missed, and he leaves behind 8 siblings and over 35 nephews and nieces. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dugan, for your comments, and we're sorry to hear about your brother.
Our next speaker is-
Next speaker, please.
My name's Maria Pazanka. This is my family, my 3 children. I am a nurse anesthetist. I'm here in honor of my son, Edison, who's the baby. Edison was my 3rd child and almost 3 months old when he died from a fatal cardiac arrhythmia on November 24th of 21. You ask why or what this has to do with the injury. I didn't know, but I was pregnant with Edison when I received the first vaccine in December 23 of 2020. I'm a healthcare worker, and we had emergency release of vaccines. I didn't know I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant in January of 2021. So I contacted my OB, and they all recommended that I get the vaccine due to high-risk work environment in the operating room, and that the American Academy of OBGYNs were recommending the vaccine for high-risk populations. As I stated, I work in the operating room and asked other GYNs as well. They all had the same consensus of recommending the vaccine. However, I've had 2 prior children. I've never put anything into my body that would have harmed them, so I decided against getting the second. I was 35 at the time, so they require a specific genetic panel. At that point, all of it came back negative. On my anatomy scan, however, my child was diagnosed with a very rare cardiac anomaly that is very rare, and it's not associated with genetics. I, in fact, and my children have been genetically tested and cardiac cleared, and we are completely safe. So what I would like to tell you today, what I want you to know and take from this, as a mother and healthcare provider, I went crazy trying to find a reason for this. I guess my time's coming up. But why I'm here is the, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you for your
Thank you.
comments.
Thank
and,
you. Just, I would like you to remember my son, and if you know any pregnant women or women trying to get pregnant, please advise not to get the vaccine while doing this is my biggest recommendation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julia Marks. First and foremost, thank you for this display of cooperation. We are here to work together to promote public safety. I'm a registered nurse and an unpaid volunteer of React 19. We lobby in Washington Senate and Congress for the injured. After my own neurological injury, where my left side went numb, I had double vision and the feeling of my central nervous system for 8 months. I could trace my nervous system with a ballpoint pen. It was excruciating. I was scared of living. I have 4 beautiful children and a wonderful marriage, and I thought about ending my life. I've become a conduit interviewing the vaccine injured. The primary threat is varying degrees of nerve damage. They form hyperimmune responses with inflammatory and immune dysregulation. I recently learned of a fireman in Port St. Lucie who suffered an arterial dissection after his vaccine. This is a common thing I hear on a regular basis, inflammatory reactions that hit the vascular system, strokes, dissections in all vessels. We need physicians to be educated. We need to provide avenues for testing. We need research-guided therapies. Currently, we have to travel and pay $5,000 cash to doctors who hire attorneys to fight our insurance companies. The first step in earning back the community's trust is responding with validation of our neurological injuries. We need long COVID injury clinics that specialize in meeting our unique needs. This will streamline diagnosis and relieve emergency care centers. When I went from emergency room to emergency room trying to get diagnosed and treated, I was sent away. There was nothing they could do for me. No one knew what to do. It would allow for tracking and identification of our numbers as a measure of impact on the larger health and nation's economy. It would guide research. That which is not understood should not be ignored. I've printed out 548 cases in Florida with vaccine targets of people that have died.
All right,
For your
thank you
media.
very much.
I'm Rod Martin. I found out about this yesterday, so this is very much off the cuff. I worked last night. I'm a clinician. I'm not a researcher, but I would like to say in regards to the subject of the vaccine injuries, that I personally have seen quite a few vaccine injuries, not only here in Florida, but also in California, where I worked 2 years ago. I've really been racking my brain about it. It's really concerned me. The amount of injuries that I've seen that are really not being covered in the news, and it's really troubling. And a lot of people that work in the medical field, you know, we work a lot, we're tired, we don't really talk much, but it really bothers me the amount of people that are being injured by it, but it's not being said publicly, and I don't really understand that. I've worked cardiothoracic surgery over there. I've seen massive thoracotomies from people throwing clots as a result of the injuries. I've had people look at me in the eye, tell me that they got the vaccine injury and they had a heart attack that very same day. I've seen multiple strokes come through as a result of the vaccine, particularly out in California. I saw a lot when I was working in LA. I think the situation has really just been overly politicized, and I think that we're thinking about where we're at instead of people's lives. And I think that we need to really change our approach to what we're doing with that. So that's really all I have to say. I don't have any stats. Many of us in the hospital talk about it amongst ourselves. We know it, we're aware of it, and it's not being covered publicly, and I don't know why. So that's it.
All right, thank you for your comments.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Cribb. I was going to get up here and share some of my experiences with the COVID, but after hearing of so many of the victims and their families, I would just ask that instead you all pay attention to what they have to say. Thank you.
I'm David Wong, native Orlandoan, and I'm here to share some negative impacts experienced from the COVID shots with concern over rectifying damage to the health, social division, some of the negligence and ignorance from our medical leaders, reversing some unlawful policies and being careful for the future to enable Orlando to be poised as a leader in long-term injury care, study, prevention, and I do believe that validation is a good step in taking these efforts. My employer last year insisted I get the shots, worried his child would die if they caught COVID. And based on the government's and media said and what was known to be true, he believed the shots would prevent transmission. After all, that's what vaccines are supposed to do. And shortly after getting the first Moderna shot that I got to help his son and relieve his worries, I started feeling really crummy immediately. My symptoms progressively worsened, and I'm super healthy, but for 18 to 36 hours, I had like severe heart stress, and it was just beating really, really fast, unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And so I decided not to get the second one. In addition to my case, a close friend had a devastating reaction after getting his third shot. He's a healthy plant-based athlete, no risk factors or blood clotting, but he got a third shot for his family and lost feeling in his hand, his arm, had a stroke, Bell's palsy, severe dysphagia, lost function in his arm and hand and speech, lost memory. Another friend, same thing, had chest pains, heart rate abnormalities, and landed in the ER with no conclusive diagnosis. And my girlfriend's sister had a miscarriage after the shots. There are believed to be even more stories, and we are far from alone. We will come together and be heard. We'll continue to investigate and pursue healing, truth, and justice. And I encourage you to visit the Elephant and Justin and the Florida Freedom Keepers outside to learn more.
All right, next speaker.
Hi, good morning. I'm Solina Brainan Matos. I'm a holistic occupational therapist who has served our communities for over 23 years. And I found myself personally and professionally in the front lines of this pandemic. I was injured and currently treat people with injuries on a weekly basis and participate in groups actively looking to ways to help thousands of injured people. And after all we've heard today, I think we can confidently say that our government pandemic response was a violation to our constitutional rights, which has caused unimaginable deaths, illness, and suffering. State laws in Florida are inadequate to address the medical needs of we, the people. Florida Statutes 760 anti-discrimination laws statutes offer no protection for vaccine-free, mask-free, or test-free citizens, or looking at people as individuals. Florida Statute 381 grants unlimited power to just one state official to force quarantine and force treatment on individuals or large groups. Florida Statute 768 allows hospitals to use ineffective CDC protocols to treat COVID patients. When they die, as they often do, the hospital is indemnified from all responsibilities. Weaknesses and law exploited allows for profit gains by politicians, lobbyists, and medical systems. Therefore, what should be people over profit is profit over people. Join us in the civic duties as constitutes and talk to your state representatives about this medical tyranny before you or your loved ones are sentenced to death in a hospital or injured by Baxter boosters. Thank you very much.